In recent times, there's been a lot of talk about how digital is going to overtake retail in terms of how people purchase games. And now we have yet more comments on this topic from the EA CFO Blake Jorgensen, who said basically that driving to the shops to buy games is soon going to be a thing of the past as more and more people switch to digital downloads for their gaming needs. Now, he did point out that for EA in particular, that particular company does make more than half its total revenue from digital sources. Now, do keep in mind that this is spread between actual game downloads, DLCs, subscriptions, and mobiles. So given that they have a lot of mobile games and obviously a fair amount of DLC, that might be skewing things a little bit, but it is still more than half its total revenue. So that still does speak volumes, even if it is, brought down a little bit by the fact that they have a pretty big chunk of digital only things like mobile games. Now, of course, the other half is physical, but it still is potentially going to be overtaken by digital in the coming years. Now, EA's latest numbers did show that 25% of full games were downloaded in the last fiscal year, and that does go across PC, Xbox, and PS4. And for the current fiscal year, Blake said that that figure should rise to about 30% or close to it. And some games obviously are more digital than others, but he didn't name any names. I'm going to guess it's going to be digital only games like mobile games, but of course, as purely speculation, he did not deign to tell us which games they actually are. Now, of course, he did recognise that there are numerous sort of blockages in the way of this, that being bandwidth speed and the need for a credit card, but even with this, Blake did say that consumers are still driving the trend towards an all-digital future because, well, it's convenient. And he said, quote, "Like in books, music, film and TV, we see that the consumer will ultimately consume games digitally." Now, he actually made an interesting prediction about the next 5 years, and he did say that full game downloads for EA games could reach 50%, that being digital purchases, of course. Now, he did still manage to toe the line here and basically say that their retail partners are, quote, still important, but they are still going to be pushing for digital because it is more convenient for the consumer, and obviously there's a higher margin for EA, let's not leave that part out, but did make me laugh that he still thought that he's like, don't worry retail partners, you're still important, but we are going to be pushing towards digital for the future. And he went on to say, quotes, "Like everything else, the consumer is ultimately going to default to convenience. If it's a choice of getting in the car and driving to the store and the weather is bad outside, if you want to download it, I think you'll see more people do that." Now, this is technically true, but as I always point out whenever this argument comes up, is we will not see this happen until actual, reliable, stable internet with a decent bandwidth is more readily available. Even in parts of the US, and obviously the UK, Australia, if you live in a small town or somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, good luck getting a half-decent internet connection. Even around here, and I live in a fairly big town, is quite a nightmare in certain places to actually get a half-decent internet connection. And obviously if you live in, say, somewhere in like Europe, in the countryside or something like that, good luck to you. So, well, ultimately he is correct on that. It's not going to happen anytime soon because, well, that is still a major issue, and even if you can get access to it, you're going to have bad speeds, and obviously with the limitation on downloads on consoles, that speed is very much throttled in comparison to the actual maximum download speed of your internet. Until those issues are solved, we won't be seeing this happen. But he is talking about 5 years. Maybe that'll be long enough, but I don't know. Given how slow these things seem to move, I'm skeptical. But of course, if that's how things want to go, then cool. But I would also say that the pricing is an issue, given that on console at least, the price for games is absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes they're more expensive than a game that you get in a case, which is ridiculous. And to be honest, that needs to be sorted out as well. Because on PC, yeah, okay, digital games are cheaper, but on console, that is very much not the case. So that's another thing that needs to be addressed as well. If it's cheaper to get a game where you actually have a case and stuff like that, then that's probably what people are going to do. And obviously there's another thing as well, that you've got two fairly unlikely scenarios, but they are possible. That one scenario is like, oh, all the servers go down, okay, you now cannot purchase a game, and sometimes not even play them if obviously they have a big multiplayer component. In that instance, if you really want to play this game, assuming it is single play, you're probably just going to be like, do you know what, I'm just going to throw on a coat and I'm going to go to the shop and buy it because, the server's down, at least I can get started in theory. You know, assuming there isn't a massive day one patch, of course. Now, of course, the other situation as well is like, what if Steam goes bankrupt? I know this is probably not going to happen, but let's just pretend for a second that it would. What happens to all your games? They are on the Steam service, you purchased them through Steam. Now, they have said that for their games, they have said, oh, they'll be available, don't worry if that ever happens, but the other games is going to be down to the developer, publisher, etc. And that is an issue as well, that you could potentially lose a huge chunk of your library if that were to happen. Now, I know it's pretty unlikely, but it still is something to keep in mind if we're going to be pushing this all-digital future. So I don't disagree, but there are definitely valuable things to consider, or valid rather, not valuable. And also, you can trade stuff in, and, much have a preference for physical, so to be honest, I don't think we'll see 100% digital anytime soon, well, I'm not going to say ever, because I can't read the future, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, to be honest with you. I know 5 years is a long time, but I don't see these problems going away that fast, to be quite frank. So, that's me done. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on not only what I've said, but obviously what Blake had to bring to the table in his quotes there. Do let me know your opinions in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.